For the last few days I have been playing Abandoned Ship and having a really good time, so I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts about it and its possible sequel. In case you have missed this indie gem from 2018, Abandoned Ship is a game where you take command of an age of sail ship and her crew, exploring a vast, story-driven world that reacts to your decisions. You engage enemy vessels, fortifications and sea monsters in brutal tactical combat, all framed in an art style inspired by the classic Naval Oil Paintings. This game has an Iron Man mode and several difficulty settings, as well as being a roguelike with a limited save and load system. The game has received a wealth of updates up to now, making it a better and even more interesting experience. More campaigns have also been added, giving players additional content for free. To this date, the game has no DLC, while you can purchase only the art book and the soundtrack in the Steam store. For anyone new to Paraphilosophy videos, you should know I present both AAA and indie games, and besides these kinds of videos, I do guides, how-tos, tutorials and much more. If you end up liking this video, please remember to hit that like button below, and leave a comment and subscribe if you would like to see more content like this. Because of this great approach, with no DLCs and free content for the players and fans of the game, by the development studio, I would like to give them my personal thanks, as well as another thank you note for sending me this key to show and talk about the game. This video is going to show you gameplay, but I would like to talk about all the cool features that I think could be improved upon and added in a sequel. There hasn't been any official word about the sequel, but considering they haven't been charging for their additional content for this game, I'm sure they're already in development of their next product. One of the most important parts that would need to be addressed and changed in the sequel would be the repetitive nature of naval combat. Sure enough, there are several RPG and environmental modifiers which make the battles harder or easier and add a welcome change, but they are often only a single element that can be overcome by the ship or crew upgrades. The core gameplay and the mechanics of the ship-to-ship combat stay the same for the entirety of the game. Even the battles against the monsters follow a similar pattern, and monsters at least should be unpredictable and hard to beat. It is in this part of the gameplay that I think the developers could add more unpredictable events and modifiers, but above all, the core mechanics need an upgrade and more depth. An example would be adding a minigame to the below decks, like the damage and repair, or stealth boarding and defense, where an enemy sailor or monster tries to blow up your ship magazines, where you have your black powder stockpile. A larger change would be having more than just two ships do battle at a time, even if the other ships are just off-screen fire support or played by a friendly AI on the screen. Another part of the game that requires more options and diverse events is what happens after you sink or capture an enemy ship. I would personally like to see a chance to find treasure maps, cool new unique crew members, passengers that you set free and deliver to safety for a reward, anything but this flat gold income which makes the game feel like a grind. And while we are on the subject of the grind, what do you even grind for? A bigger ship? The actual use of a bigger ship comes down mostly to higher HP. Having a ship with more health gives you more chances to make mistakes in boss battles and still get out of them in one piece. Sure, you have a bit more crew, more guns, more equipment on the bigger ships, but there are no new mechanics that come with them. What would be cool to see would be ship specialization, like a rammer, a gunship, a ship full of marines for fast boarding and capture, and so on. One major addition to the game I would like to see are foraging parties into islands. What I envision here is similar to the core gameplay but on a smaller scale. Think of it like this. There is a treasure map, the gold is buried at the source of a river on a small island. You take a boat out, choose 4 crew members and make your way up the river. For the boat you have only one gun emplacement, so you have to choose wisely which weapon to carry, and also you can take only 2 types of ammunition. And each crew member can bring a weapon or something else, for example a musket, a harpoon, a sledgehammer, even a book. Then along the way, where the X marks the spot, you have 2 or even 4 challenges along the way. Each one requires solving to continue forward. The first one might be keeping your marine alive while he uses the sledgehammer to break a log blocking your path, while the natives throw rocks and arrows at you. Perhaps you read them a passage from an inspiring book and they calm down, or you give them a volley from the scattergun. On the way back, depending on your choices, your crew members might catch a disease from all the dead bodies you left there, or you might get an offering of food from happy natives that heard a really cool story from a really cool book. Things like that. What I would also like to see in the sequel is the game developers finding a way around some tedious micromanagement, like having to point a crew member to each individual hull leak or fire. I mean, if there's a fire here and a fire there, the captain probably gave you an order to put out all the fires, not just one fire. This could free up the player's time to deal with more interesting things, like changing weapon ammunition type, aiming for specific parts of ships. Like, why not have a flame arrow to burn down enemy sails at close range, rather than shooting them with the chain shot even from point blank range when the crew keeps repairing them constantly. A captain versus captain minigame, like in the good old Sidemare's Pirates, would be really useful to keep you from repairing your ship after every battle. Taking over a ship after a victory in a duel would make things a lot more interesting and broaden the gameplay. Ultimately, I see Abandoned Ship as a great game, which just needed a little bit more development time to make it into a brilliant game. I hope we can see a sequel in a year or two from now, and that it will be a game worth calling a brilliant indie gem of a game. I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you're interested to see more of my videos, here's a few you might like. I wish you all happy gaming.